Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled People. In today's episode, no, babies are not public property for anyone's enjoyment. Karen demands I drive 24/7 to bring water to their rental house. Dream wedding? Get the guests to pay for it. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. No, babies are not public property for anyone's enjoyment. I've got 3 short, related anecdotes from several years ago that aren't enough to merit their own posts. All happened at times I, 40 at the time, had my infant son out shopping. The first 2 were just me and him. The last one my wife was with us, too. I needed to get something at Home Depot, so I put him in the stroller and went into the store. I didn't know where the item was, so I asked an employee who didn't just tell me where to go, but was actually taking me there. Along the way we passed 2 women at least in their 70s, grandmother types. One of them said, "Stop," as if she needed something important. All she said was, "We have to see the baby." I was so startled I didn't say or do anything, so they got to see the baby. The employee, unsure of what was going on, just walked away. I don't blame her at all, and I had to find someone else to tell me where to go. Another time, as my son and I were leaving the grocery store, another grandmother type just reached out and started playing with his toes. This time I had enough presence of mind to say, "Please don't touch my son," to which she had the gall to say, "But he's wearing socks." As I walked away, I said something along the lines of, "It doesn't matter, you don't have permission to touch a random baby." To end on a happier note, my wife and I were at Target with the kid when another set of grandparent types started interacting with our son while we were stopped in an aisle looking at something. I don't mind if you interact with him from a distance, stimulation is good for an infant. Then the husband reached out to pinch his cheek or something similar. Before we could say anything, his wife told him not to touch someone's baby without asking first. As we walked away, she was still criticizing him and telling him never to do that again. They do the same thing with dogs, then complain when they get bit. "Oh, such a cute doggy, OWWWW. I was camping with my dog and had to go to the bathroom late at night. Took the dog and tied her on outside. When I came out, a parent with a couple of kids had her surrounded and were all petting her. She looked terrified. I was pissed. The dog goes in the bathroom building with me now. Never left her anywhere like that again. People can be so rude and dumb. I saw an AITA a while ago where someone had a corgi who everyone wanted to pet on walks, and they started saying, "My dog is not a tourist attraction." Maybe that'll work for babies too. It's insane how a calm and cute baby magically becomes public property to people with no boundaries, but when the baby starts fussing, suddenly all they want to do is stare and make disapproving faces at the parents. Karen demands I drive 24/7 to bring water to their rental house. I own a hot tub repair and maintenance company, and one of the services we offer is hot tub water refills, where we truck in the water to fill the tub if the well at the house can't produce enough or if there is a requirement. One of wells at a home I service went dry. This happens, and it has a backup 500-gallon cistern. So the property manager asked if I could fill their tank. I said yep, no problem. By the way, the well still does produce water, it's just not as much as needed, so usually if you can augment the tank then the well will recover and you are good. At the time my truck was in the shop, so I borrowed my parents' SUV, hooked up my water trailer, filled up the tank, then transported it to their house. I would have normally declined, but the property manager was desperate and I'm the only company in town with water transport equipment. They are all good to go and Karen is set to arrive that evening. Just a day and a half later the house has run out. The property manager called me and asked if there was anything I could do, if I could take a look. It's Sunday, the bulk water fill location is closed, and I had no truck/ability to tow. For what eats with, the property manager offered a new house to them to stay at, but the entitled parents didn't want a different house. So I took a small load of water over with my 1958 Jeep, I filled my small tank and trailer at my house and brought over 275 gallons. This was a total pain in the ass. Once I arrived, the entitled grandmothers come out and immediately start asking why I didn't bring 500 gallons and when I'm gonna go get them some more, because apparently they had 18 people staying there and they all needed showers. It's a pretty big mountain house. She told me that they expect me to drive round the clock delivering water for their entire stay. By the way, when I can't fill at the bulk station and I can't use my full-size trailer, this is a total pain in the ass. Takes 40 minutes to fill the tank at my house, 20 minutes to drive and 40 minutes to transfer. 18 people consume a ton of water. For reference, if I had my truck and full-size trailer, the whole process would only take 30 minutes. This was all because they wanted to stay in this house to have their ideal vacation, and any other house or houses would simply not do. Entitled GM/Karen then said it was my job to supply them with everything they needed for their vacation, otherwise she would make sure I got fired. I was pretty friendly to this point, so I should ensure my schedule was clear for the next week to support them and that I should go rent a truck to be able to haul water to them. I honestly couldn't believe it. I was being a professional and friendly person who was just trying to help out, but after those remarks I couldn't take it. So I clarified with the two mother hens about what I was and wasn't going to do. Also, their adult kids were looking pretty ashamed at this point. 1. I said that was not happening as I do not work for the management company. I'm a third-party contractor who works on hot tubs. I was doing the property manager a favor by helping them out. The two entitled grandmothers then threatened to tell the property management company to cancel my contract if I don't help them, and implied that as someone delivering water for a business I'd need the money. 2. I told them to go ahead. My full-time job is in cloud technology, and this is a side business for me. I literally couldn't care less, and I was still not going to drive round the clock to do that when they could move to another property. There was some more back and forth, but I finally told them that they would be stupid to try and stay here, that their experience they wanted to have in this house just wasn't going to happen. I went home, had a couple beers, and enjoyed the rest of my Sunday. Apparently the next morning they moved to another house. Also, the property manager gave them a full refund, so their trip was free. Wonder what the property management company had told them to make them think it was your responsibility. The management company told them they were having water delivered and also advised them that it's a mountain cabin on a well and to not expect they could do everything they would normally do on city water. This house has hosted large amounts of guests before, but sometimes wells just don't put out as much as you think. The water would come back on and they would literally just go ham using all of it. I was being a professional. For future reference, a professional will charge for most services. If they think you'll do it for free, they're certainly not going to respect your professionalism. Oh, I charged in quite a bit. But frankly, I had better stuff to do. Professionalism for me is treating people with respect, showing up when you say you will, and doing the service requested. Just curious, everywhere I've lived on well, there's a legal minimum flow rate. If the well can't produce, the house is deemed not fit for occupancy. You'd have to drill a new well, expensive. Now, 18 people is ridiculous, again, out of occupancy regs, but if the well can't produce minimum, why is occupancy allowed? Or it can but is overstressed by over-occupancy? Dream wedding? Get the guests to pay for it. Not my story, but via a friend. Names changed for anonymity. A friend, Jack, 36, was invited to a wedding, the wedding of Sophie, 35, and Jeff, 36, in the UK. Jack is good friends with Jeff and has known him a long time. The bride, Sophie, is from the US. Jack RSVP'd to the wedding and was delighted that his girlfriend had been invited too, although she didn't know the couple. A few months later, Jack received an email that stated, "Thank you for RSVPing to our wedding, and thank you for helping us have the wedding of our dreams." At the bottom of the email, Jack saw a link that said, "Click here for payment." He assumed this was a link to the honeymoon fund and went about his day. A few days later, he thought he would just have a look to see what the link was, and it then took him through to a payment page that requested just shy of £2,000 for attendance at the wedding. He assumed this must be a scam, so called the wedding venue to let them know. The venue then told him that Sophie and Jeff, thank you for your contribution to enable them to have their dream wedding, obviously only informed of this after he had RSVP'd. Yes. Jack was astounded, but because he cares about his friend, decided to empty his entire savings to attend the wedding. But in hindsight realized the invite of his partner was probably not as generous as he originally realized. Jack then felt that because he spent so much money to attend, he would rinse the free food and booze and get the most expensive stuff possible. Cut to the wedding, the drinks were not included. Jack and partner had a couple of drinks and the bill was about £30. At the end of the wedding, when checking out, Jack went to pay his bar bill. The bill was the £30, plus nearly £200. He was then informed by the venue that the bride and groom had requested every guest be charged this amount as a tip for the venue. Note this is in the UK, where tipping the venue is not a thing that happens, nor does charging guests for attendance for that matter, but does that happen anywhere? Jack had no money left from rinsing his savings for the wedding that he had to negotiate a lower tip amount with the venue. After the wedding, Jack checked the cost of the venue and calculated that the cost had been spread amongst the guests but not the bride and groom, so they had basically got a free wedding out of it. Not only did the bride and groom pass on the costs of a ridiculously priced venue to the guests after people had RSVP'd, essentially putting the venue above guest attendance, but then they passed on the cost of a tip to the guests without telling them, as a required charge on checkout. I've never heard of anything so entitled in my life. ETA confirmation from Americans in the comments that this is not a US thing, it's also not a UK thing, it's a confirmed entitled people thing. Yeah, no. Once I saw the payment screen, I would have called and cancelled my RSVP. I don't care who the bride and groom are to me. You want a specific type of wedding, pay for it yourself. What they did was downright tacky. Same Zimo. I wouldn't do that for anyone. I absolutely cannot believe he did. Honestly, if they'd let people know before RSVPing that in lieu of a gift we'd like a voluntary money amount, say £100, I could swallow that cost. But to expect $2,000 is crazy. I wonder if all guests paid the same, or did they milk a few suckers and got lesser amounts from elsewhere? Your friend Jack and every other guest were absolute idiots for just meekly going along with this scam. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.